All right, so we're all taped up. Gosh, they got polish everywhere, man. It's gonna take forever to clean this up. And I'm gonna do this one section at a time because I'm probably gonna end up polishing one section at a time. But this is CarPro Eraser. So I'm gonna wipe off the front end here. Do a really good soaking and then cleaning. This is one of those products that I think, you know, you normally say a little goes a long way. Well, this is one of those things where I use a lot and force myself to have to wipe it all off. I like to use my larger waffle weaves. Let me back this up a little bit. Doing this during the day never works out well. So, again, we've done a decontamination process, but then I let the truck sit out overnight. And so now what I want to do is get it clean the rest of the way. And this is another lesson that I've learned here. I threw some Hydro 2 on the surface, on the paint, just to have some sort of protection, because it's a little different this time, and then I drove the truck 500 miles before I'm actually doing my correction. But even after doing all the different steps of decontamination, I feel like there's still a slimy silicon dioxide on here, so I think I'm gonna throw that stuff in the trash. I love the idea of those type of products, but they seem to do more harm than good. I know lots of you like that product, but I'm becoming less and less of a fan. But I want to get a good solid cleaning here, so now I can get ready to start polishing. So the truck's been, you know, sitting here all night drying. So hopefully I'll have less water bleeding through, you know, coming out of the cracks and things. I also blew it out, so that might help too. These are just, I have some blue car wash towels, which aren't part of my package, but you could use your yellow polishing towels, you could use your orange multi-purpose towels, you could use waffle weave like what I'm using to do this step. It really doesn't matter all that much because, again, we're about to correct the surface. So after going to Denver, Adam from Adam's Polishes, Adam Batali, he's got me motivated to get back in shape. He told us this story about how he lost, 40 pounds because some of his guys sat him down. Matt, who is his right-hand man, sat him down and said, look, bro, if you're going to be the leader of this company, you need to be a leader in all aspects of life, which I thought was really cool. And so then Adam had this epiphany where it's time to get his crap together. See, even the darn tape won't stick. Even after doing all this, I even wiped it down with IPA, straight up IPA, or 91% IPA. This stuff still, don't do silicon dioxide if you can help it, is my take on that. All right, so my lights, my scan grip lights are at the darn garage, which I don't want to go get. Plus we're in the middle of the day, which isn't a good time to be testing this, but I do have a larger light here, which isn't as good as a straight beam. So yeah, the paint isn't too bad here. I think I can just one-step this and be done with it. Just a little scratching. I really need to go get my light. This one isn't particularly suited for this job. I mean, there's some marring and some light scratching. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a single step, see how it comes out. So we'll start with that. There's I'm going to have to compound over here where these idiots rotaried this. There's some really nasty looking holograms. Let's do this section right here. And we'll see what we're working with. There's some wool pad hologram sort of chasing scratches there. And then we have some stuff, some little scratches, probably a lot of it from just toweling and from the decon step. There's some water spots up here that, you know, looks like surface spots. But otherwise it looks pretty good. Most of this marring is probably from my decon. But as you can see, no major swirling or issues. I mean, it is a new truck, and I make sure that they didn't wash it so we didn't end up with significant issues. But anyway, I'm going to single step. So actually I'm going to work on, I'm going to work on this area up here. So we'll single step that. All right, so just getting my Mark II set up here. Kevin Brown sends upgraded screws here to get rid of these, whatever flathead version. And he sends because these are plastic. So we upgrade these to metal, to stainless. And the nice thing is then they're the same size hex as the backing plate. So I'm going to run 5-inch pads. There's new side mount screws, and then I have mine washer modded. So here's our pressure fit washer. So you want to make sure, again, I don't think it's all that critical, but you want to make sure the washer sits flush in your pad so there's no play. You know, otherwise you'll end up with the wiggle room, and then you'll mess up blow through your backing plate. And again, the purpose of doing this, and I know there's lots of debate on this, seems pretty simple to me, is if we don't do this, then the shroud contacts our backing plate. So instead, now I've got my 5-inch backing plate where it's not rubbing the shroud and fits. So I got my upgraded stainless screws and then a backing plate set up. Let's get our 3-inch out here. So I have Mark II and Mark I machines. I'm going to use the Mark II. I have the 21 and the 15 of each. And then I have my 3-inch here, which is also washer modded. So let's swap our size screws out on this as well. I've had these for a while, I just haven't swapped them. It's just an upgraded take this. These look like, I think they're like Delrin plastic. So we take these out and put in a stainless version. Yo. What's up?
What's going on?
I'm slacking on you.
Yeah, I know, man. What are you doing? You're like, here, you went MIA.
I'm like a ghost.
Hey, so, you want to give me some thoughts on the stuff that we sent over, like the license plate, keychains, and hat?
Yeah, so the license plate looks good.
Nice.
All right, I like that. So again, I want to get that in 4 hole, 2 hole, and in the brushed stainless, not chrome, but regular stainless, and then black. Yeah, so we just got to figure out pricing and what's the break point,
I'll give her a call on that.
I like that hat. I mean, what do those things cost?
Okay, do you want me to get pricing on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hoodies, what can we get and what can we not get?
The hoodies were good. It's the pullovers that we're having trouble. And this is even through American Apparel wholesale. They just don't have any. But we're good on zip.
All right. I guess I want to pick, let's pick like one this month to do. All right, so here's what my hope is, and we're about to find out here shortly. I'm hoping I can do a single step. So just to explain that for maybe those of you who haven't polished a lot or haven't done or have never polished or just haven't really thought about it much, but you know, generally we're going to do whatever's necessary in order to correct the paint, and then everybody has a different scale for how correct is correct, right? And so I'm generally a function guy, right? So if it functionally looks great, I'm not going to chase that extra 5% and removing, extra paint to get to that extra 5% level. And so if I can get this to 95 or 97% corrected, I'm going to call that good enough to then coat the thing. So again, we're going to be doing kamikaze coating system on this truck. So I'm hoping that I can just do a single step versus a multi-step. And so generally, you need, like on my GT3, a single step wasn't enough to get all the sanding marks, scratches, and things like that out of the paint. So we needed to do a heavier compound. In some cases, we needed to do a really heavy compound. We used M100 and a Surbuff pad on the hood or on the front trunk area. And then the rest of the car, we did a microfiber cutting pad, Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad with Jescar correction compound, or correcting compound it's called. So I'm hoping I don't have to break this out, but I might end up having to do that. So we have that and microfiber if we need to, and I may need to break that out in different sections. But this is a difference that's happened to me over the years, is that I used to, when I first started out at a Griot's polisher and Griot's stage 3, and I didn't know what I was doing, you just don't even get the lights out, just polish it, the whole car. And it looked good. Not great, but good. And then I started to learn about, well, if I use an orange pad versus a red pad, they had 2 pads. You could do, stage, and they had polish 1, 2, 3, 4. So you would kind of work your way through the process. And then I discovered that the original Griot's polishes were not good at all. They were hard to remove, and they really didn't correct very much. And that's when I discovered Menzerna. And that's when I started experimenting with other pads, different pad densities. And then eventually figured out, FG400 or M105 and some other, compounding and actually using a microfiber cutting pad. This is probably 6-7 years ago, something like that. And so then, worked my way to actually learning the difference between, testing and doing a test spot and then figuring out, trying different combinations. So I have it all here. I've got M100, 105, 205, Jescar, every level of Menzerna. I've got Scholl's S3. I've got the Meguiar's DA cutting system, the polishing system D300. I've got Sonex Perfect Finish. I've got all the different, a bunch of different finishing polishes. And my guess is I'm probably going to end up with a 1-step. So rather than doing a compounding, which then I'd have to come back and finish with a regular polish or a finishing polish, I'm hoping to use something like Perfect Finish, which is a nice combination of on Sonex's scale of 1 being the most cut, 6 being the most precise or least cut. This is a 4. That's what it starts out as, and it finishes as a 6 out of 6. On a finishing or cutting scale. So this is a diminishing polish. The more you work it, the more it breaks down. I subscribe to the Todd Cooperrider method of, use a yellow pad in most cases. So I'm going to try yellow versus white. My guess is, because I'm doing a single step, it's probably going to, and this will be very similar to, because the paint I'm assuming is going to be rather similar to my GT350. That it had a few minor imperfections, but was otherwise good. Most of those imperfections came from decontaminating the paint. So let's go do a test panel. I'm going to set up my 21. Actually, let's do a smaller section. Let's set up our 15 You simply line up the circle in the middle. I got a brand new pad, brand new yellow pad. So this is a Rupes 6-inch yellow pad. I've got my line so that I can see if it's spinning. I'm washer modded, and then I've got my perfect finish ready to roll. So now the big question is, do you prime or not prime? I still prime. Again, I don't see the harm in doing it. Actually, let's use our McGuire's bottle. Let's see, there's no harm in priming the pad other than wasting your time. So it makes me feel better to have even polish on the whole thing. But as Todd mentioned, I've seen it firsthand. I don't think it really does a whole heck of a lot. Especially since, even though I'm covering the pad, I'm still, foam in general, unless you put a gallon of this stuff on here, you're still going to have dry spots on the pad anyway. And I'll do my 1, 2, 3, 4 really small dots. Okay. So let's go, let me get our extension cord set up and we'll go out and start working on it. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep